Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch the Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And this week, we're very happy to have a return guest with us. Guest, please introduce yourself.
It's me, Julia Gaskill, Tough Pigs writer extraordinaire. Hello, hi.
It's you. See, that's good. That's the kind of self-introduction we hope people will give themselves. Like, yeah, writer extraordinaire. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta talk yourself up.
Yeah.
List
great.
your credentials, I guess. Tell people why I'm on this podcast.
Absolutely.
So
You're
I know a thing or two about Muppets.
Exactly. A very knowledgeable and intelligent Muppet fan. So,
yes,
and this week you are here to talk to us about minutes 91 and 92 of The Muppets Take Manhattan, in which all the Muppets are very excited that Kermit and Piggy got married, and the credits begin to roll. But before we actually pick up with the clip, we were just talking about the fact that a lot of this 2-minute clip is, in fact, credits. It's just the very tail end of the wedding and the movie. So, Julia, before we get started, do you have any general thoughts about the wedding sequence before this, or the Manhattan Melodies sequence?
Oh, I love Muppets Take Manhattan. I actually rewatched it a couple months ago in preparation for doing this podcast because I realized it had been a few years. And then I got to the clip and I was like, oh, it's literally just the tail end. But, the wedding sequence has always been very interesting, how the whole movie is building up this big giant show, but then the show becomes kind of just the world of the movie, and it introduces the priest marrying Piggy and Kermit, which has always been an interesting plot point introduced at the end of this film. It feels a little shoehorned in, but also it's a Muppet movie, and so it's just kind of wacky and kind of out there.
Yeah.
I love Piggy's dress. I was reminded in watching this clip a couple times that it's very good. Her under eye makeup is very heavy-handed, and I say that as someone that wears a lot of eye makeup. It's very she's got smoky eye under her eyes, which maybe it was the look of the 80s. It's hard to say. I wasn't in the 80s, but that was just something that I noted.
Now, I did not notice Piggy's makeup, and I don't think does Piggy, is it typical for her to wear makeup at all?
Not that I've it's probably very subtle and just kind of worked in because she's built as a very feminine character.
Right.
But obviously there's the makeup scene in this movie earlier with her and Joan Rivers, which is perhaps one of my favorite scenes in all the Muppet movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't normally think about Piggy's makeup, but I did notice in watching I think the 40 seconds that she's on screen before we get the credits that there's a lot of just under eye going on.
Yeah, so I guess when we talk about Piggy's eye makeup, really what we're just talking about is that they made new eyes for her.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, or I don't know, actually I'm looking at it right now. They may have sort of painted a little bit or drawn that on with something, but yeah, you're right, and I had never noticed that before.
When you apply a lot of eyeliner on a daily basis, you tend to notice other people's eyeliners, including if they are felt pig.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, there you go. So so Miss Piggy is getting married to Kermit. It actually just happened. They're married now. It's done. So we pick up then with this chapel full of Muppets cheering. Doves are flying around. Our previous guest, Tim DeHaas, who worked as a puppeteer on this movie, told us that the puppeteers were required to wrangle the doves, which seemed probably I don't know, it doesn't seem fair.
That's an amazing fact. That doesn't seem like that's part of their credentials as puppeteers.
Yeah. After every take, the puppeteers had to gather up the doves and put them back where they're supposed to go.
Oh, no.
He had also mentioned that there was a dove that lands on one of the rats.
Isn't it Yolanda?
Yes, I had never noticed that before either, but watching it this time, I was able to see it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, all the rats are, all the Muppets are jumping up and down. They're so excited, and there's a dove just perched on Yolanda's nose, and it just stays there while she hops up and down. So that's funny.
It is,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Especially because the dove is as big or possibly bigger than Yolanda.
Yeah.
There are also some hats flying in the air as if people are tossing their hats. Although I don't think there were very many Muppets wearing hats in this scene.
Yeah,
before,
that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think from my memory of the whole wedding sequence, no one's wearing a hat.
Well, I mean,
Right.
like Zoot and Dr. Teeth and characters who always wear a hat. Are
I
wearing
think
hats.
most of them are coming from the
But those
other
are not
side
the
of
hats.
the aisle.
Yeah, those are not the hats we see flying, though. Like,
Right.
Yeah, and I think I think you see Dr. Teeth in this segment, like when Scooter and Fozzie are hugging, and I think he still has his hat on.
Yeah, he's still wearing his hat. So
Yeah.
I don't know where all those hats are coming from.
Maybe they just
Somebody-
brought the hats specifically to
Yes.
throw them in the air.
Some weddings they throw rice, some they throw birdseed. At a Muppet wedding, you throw hats for some reason.
throw it. Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, you're going to mention this, I'm sure, but we also get penguins flipping in the air.
Yes.
Which makes me so happy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I also just wanted to mention, again, we talked about this previously, but I just love just sort of picking out all the different obscure Muppets who are present at this wedding in the chapel. I noticed a few Kuzbanians from the Muppet Show. I'm glad they got an invite. Uncle Dudley is there. He's sitting behind the pigs. We almost never saw Uncle Dudley after the Muppet Show, and he only made a few appearances on the Muppet Show. So
Yeah, I didn't clock Uncle Dudley. That's good. It's a good cameo.
He's there. It's just and I guess were there any other characters that you noticed?
Well, all mine we talked about last week.
I definitely noticed the Kuzbanians, but otherwise, like, pretty much all kind of like the prevalent Muppets were up front, and I felt like all the more rare cameos were kind of pushed back further, and I couldn't really pick anybody out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of the creatures and monsters and whatnots from the Muppet Show.
And Fraggle singular, of course, Traveling Matt. Love to see that guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very cool that Traveling Matt is there.
Can I just say that in general, I love that this is the last time we see most of these characters in a Jim Henson era movie. Is that they're just like all celebrating and yelling and like screaming for joy and flipping around.
Yeah, there is. I mean, yeah, there's just this weird sort of like unintentional, almost like this is this. I don't know. I don't want to say series finale of the Muppets, but it almost kind of feels like that.
It kind of and like all three movies, really have like joyous ending. I mean,
Yes.
the Muppet movie has this very plaintive ending, right? With Life's Like a Movie and all that, but then it also cuts back to the theater where the same thing is basically
chaos
happening,
and comedy.
Yeah, and then Muppet Keeper. I mean, that's very silly. They're all in parachutes saying "and me,"
Yes.
like all three of them end with this like, "Hey, here's everyone. Here's every Muppet you've ever seen."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but even just knowing, like, Jim Henson would work on other projects with these characters for the next 6 years that he was around, but it does sort of feel like he's kind of taking a step away like just because he was so interested in working on other things, because he's working on Labyrinth by this point and probably had a foot in The Storyteller by this point, and the Jim Henson Hour was around the corner. So
yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that, like how he was like definitely transitioning into other work, and so maybe the ending of this movie being so joyous, and maybe even perhaps like the marriage of Piggy and Kermit like had something to do with that, where he was kind of trying to put a pause on these films and kind of tie them up neatly with like a little bow.
At least for now. Yeah, like maybe it's
sure, with like maybe the intention, if it had worked out a different way, unfortunately, like where he would eventually return to make more.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah.
And like, here you go, fans. Here's a really happy thing. Kermit and Piggy, you love them. They're getting married. So yeah.
Right. But you know who is not happy? Link, who because we see another pig yell, "They got married," and then Link starts to cry.
Yeah.
Which suggests to me that like Link, as pompous and idiotic as he is, assumed until that moment that he and Piggy would end up together someday.
Oh, see, I thought he was crying tears of joy.
Me too.
That's how I read it.
So? Yeah, that's more generous. Just how in so many of those Muppets, so many of those Pigs in Space sketches, he's always just like, "First meet Piggy, I'm a handsome man, and you're a lady."
That's true. I mean, your theory makes him a lot more complex than mine.
Well, I guess I was thinking of, and this absolutely requires people to be as familiar with Link as we are, which I don't know if the average theater goer necessarily was in 1984, but I was thinking that it was like Link, this sort of macho tough guy, and when he goes to a wedding, he just can't stop crying. Like,
oh, sure,
that's true too. Yeah,
he has a sensitive side.
Which they did that kind of joke with him a lot on the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
like cute things make him go ah. Or
yes. So I don't know. Yeah, let us know, listeners, which version you think is the truth. Yes, the pig who shouts, "They got married." I played that a couple times. It sounds like Dave Goelz performing that, but I could also hear it as Steve Whitmire. Do you have any thoughts?
I thought it was Dave, but
I thought Dave.
Yeah,
too.
Sometimes it's a little tricky to tell.
Okay, they have a little bit of overlap with the tone of their voices.
Yeah, it was a little Beauregard-ish to me. I felt
it is. Yes.
It was like that Beauregard Wendell Porcupine voice.
Right. So you don't think it's a little bit? You think it's more Beauregard and Wendell than, say, Waldo?
Oh yeah, no, I guess it could be like Waldo or like Marlon Fraggle is down there. Too, a little bit.
Yeah. It's probably Dave. Yeah. So, I also wanted to mention, if you are interested in how the filmmakers planned out this scene with all these Muppets sitting in the pews, there's a model at the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, New York, in their permanent Jim Henson Gallery, which is like a miniature version of the chapel with little PVC toys of some of the figures, and then like paper cutouts of some of them. Just kind of sort of like a seating chart, and I guess how they're going to put enough space for all the puppeteers to be there. So that's a cool little thing that you can find at that museum, or find pictures of it online if you can't make it to the museum. When it cuts to the pews where the main characters are sitting, everyone's jumping down. It's who's hugging whom here? It's Ralph and Fozzie hugging?
Well, it's Ralph and Fozzie first, and then Scooter and Fozzie, I believe, right?
Does it cut back, or do they?
I thought it was like we see Scooter like going in for the hug as it cuts away. I thought maybe I was misreading it.
I wrote Ralph and Fozzie, and then I think Scooter is just like celebrating close by, but I don't know if he's going in for the hug. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It looks like Scooter and Animal might be like cheering with each other.
Okay. What I was going to say about Ralph and Fozzie, though, is I don't know if this is intentional or not, but that's the second time in this movie that we've seen those two characters hug.
Right.
They hug during saying goodbye. And like, obviously that's Jim and Frank, Yeah. So it feels very significant to me that we see like Jim Henson's second most important character and Frank Oz's second most important character hug each other twice, like once in sadness and once in joy in this movie.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. It never occurred to me. Right? Never occurred to me before today, but I love it.
No, correct. Me same.
Yeah.
Me same. I don't know why I'm Cookie Monster all of a sudden.
Everyone should watch these movies 2 minutes at a time, and I really do recommend it. You just notice so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've established that we are way past the point now where Manhattan Melodies is no longer, like, it cannot possibly be a Broadway show on stage in front of an audience. But another thing I noticed for the first time is that we do have all the members of the band sitting in this chapel. So, like, who's playing the music? Who's been playing the music for the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, they were in the orchestra pit.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah. What's up with that? Then, yes, Anthony mentioned this earlier. We see the penguin choir from a minute ago. Some of the penguins are so happy that they're flipping in the air. We always love a good penguin throw. There is, in fact, a page on Muppet Wiki, the greatest informational resource on the internet, called Throwing Penguins. I believe this page was started by our friend Shane.
Nice.
It lists a few other. There's some Muppet Show numbers, the Heat Wave number, and the Muppets Go to the Movies, which we did a special episode about. It's funny, like only 2 of these actually take place in cold environments where you might expect to see penguins, but it doesn't matter. All that really matters is that they're throwing penguins at the end of musical numbers and stuff. It must just be so fun to be a Muppet performer and just throw a penguin Muppet up in the air and just watch. Like, how high can it go? Like,
Yeah.
can I hit the lights up there? Can I? Yeah. Also funny because penguins actually can't fly.
And they can't fly in Muppet stuff either. They just flip up and
They're
fall back down.
Jumping really,
Jump really high.
They're just acrobats.
Yeah.
It cuts back to Kermit and Piggy. Kermit kind of looks like he's surprised at how happy everyone is. Like, he had no idea that everyone had so much invested in his relationship.
Well, keep in mind that he just got his memory back like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So
yeah, he's had a hard day, or not hard day, but just like a long day of a lot of stuff happening.
Right.
That's true. Just a few hours ago, he was giving a presentation about Ocean Breeze soap.
Then he got his memory back, then he got on Broadway, and then he got married.
Yeah.
Right,
That's a really good point. And then he's about to sing the last line of the movie, but before he does, he gives this little shrug, like, okay, I guess it's okay that I just married Piggy.
Well, and Piggy kind of like gasps when Kermit kisses her on the cheek.
Yes.
She kind of goes, which is wild because they just got married. Like, she should not be that surprised.
Yeah.
This is not like a backstage plot on the Muppet Show.
Right. That's the thing about their relationship sort of existing in different permutations and realities where, yes, on the Muppet Show, we would expect her to be surprised if Kermit voluntarily kissed her on the cheek. But if they've been dating in college and made plans to get married, then yeah, it shouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah.
So then he sings the last line of the movie. What better way could anything end? Hand in hand with a friend. They sort of freeze and pose for the camera. Everything around them fades to black. They end up in this crescent moon, which sort of then like floats to the upper corner of the screen. Piggy, I'm not sure quite how to describe this. Piggy turns her back to us and obscures Kermit for a second, so you know that there's some more kissing going on there.
Yeah, which I think is very sweet that it's private, you know?
Yes, and also that it's and just that we know that Kermit is on board with it is nice, because again, on the Muppet Show, we wouldn't necessarily be sure, but
yeah.
And the letters on the screen spell the end, which I love it when movies say the end at the end. It seems like an old-fashioned thing now because it doesn't really happen much anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking how you don't really see that in films these days.
Yeah. I checked back and the Muppet movie has it. It does say the end right at the end of the Rainbow Connection reprise before Sweetums tears through the screen. But Great Muppet Caper does not have the end.
Oh, I thought that it did. Okay.
I mean,
I thought it had the end at the end, like after the credits were over, but no.
After, well, I watched the last 3 minutes of it, unless it came before that.
There you go. I didn't double check. So
yeah, if anyone can prove me wrong, please do. But I'm a little disappointed that the Great Muppet Caper doesn't have the end at the end. But I can't wait to see if Muppet Christmas Carol has it. I think it probably does, but we'll see.
It feels like it does, yeah.
Yeah, I think it does, but who knows? You'll find out. You'll find out the next time you start a new podcast.
We'll find out a year from now.
Yes.
So, anything else on this, the moon or the kissing or the end?
Not really. It's a nice, sweet ending. They go up into the moon and they have a moment of smooching, and then it's done.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it's over.
Yeah. Another thing.
They took it.
They did take it. They successfully took Manhattan. Another thing Tim DeHaas mentioned when he was here a few weeks ago was that there was a plan at some point for the movie to end with a shot where Kermit and Piggy would drive away in a convertible that would then fly away.
So the
But-
Grease ending.
Yes, exactly. But his thought was
yeah.
that they would run, like, they didn't have the budget for it ultimately. So this ending does seem a little bit sudden. Like, I guess there's nothing else to do.
Right.
Maybe if this movie came out now, you would have some sort of little epilogue where, I don't know, the reviews are in for Manhattan Melodies and everyone loves it. But
It's a hit. Kermit and Piggy's marriage is a hit.
yeah. But I guess all you really need is they got married, especially because, as we've been saying, it's not just the ending of this movie, it's the ending of 8 years of Muppet history.
Right. But Ryan, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What better way could anything end?
Yes. Excellent point. Because what else can you possibly add after that? Right.
Right.
Let's see. So yes, this now brings us into the credits portion of the film. The camera moves down to the shot of the skyline.
I have so many thoughts about the Muppet Performer credits in this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to say, though, that the last thing we see is Kermit and Piggy on that moon, and then it sort of tilts down to the Manhattan skyline. So presumably, Kermit and Piggy are on the actual moon, just suspended over New York City. I don't know how they're going to get down from there.
It's their honeymoon.
Oh.
Okay.
There we go.
There it is.
Well, so yes, the credits. First, we have the Muppet Performers. I don't have a lot of specific notes here. It's nice to see them all credited individually for all their multiple characters. The ones that are spotlighted first are Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Dave Gold, Steve Whitmire, Richard Hunt, Jerry Nelson.
I was going to ask, is this the first time that Steve was top billed with all the other core Muppeteers, or did he get top billed for Great Muppet Caper? I couldn't remember.
No, I think this must be the first. Let me actually, you know what? Let me go back and check my notes for Caper.
Yeah, I want to say he was like in the second tier for Caper.
Yeah, because I mean Rizzo has a line and Lips has a line.
Yeah,
but I can't imagine that he. Let's see.
Lips does have a line. He says, "Ding ding."
That's right. There you go. All right. Minutes 95 and 96. Steve Whitmire is credited as Rizzo and Lips. I put in my notes for Caper. Steve Whitmire is credited as Rizzo and Lips, which is nice.
Oh, okay. So he's credited alongside the other guys as their multiple characters. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess by that time he had kind of proved himself on the Muppet Show. So
yeah, he had been around. He's billed over Richard and Jerry in this one, which he does have a lot to do with Rizzo.
Right, so Rizzo's in it a ton. Yeah.
It makes a fair amount of sense.
I did hear from a listener that Jerry Nelson actually didn't work a lot of days on this film. That he wasn't. So maybe he just wasn't as present as some of the other guys. That might have something to do with it.
Right. So what I was going to say was, so Jim Henson is credited as Kermit, Rolf, Dr. Teeth, the Swedish Chef, and Waldorf. Frank Oz is credited as Piggy, Fozzie, and Animal. Jerry as Camilla, New Zealand, and Floyd. The reason I find this noteworthy is that between the three of them, there are then 7 characters who have speaking parts that they're not credited as. Right?
Oh.
Ernie. So Ernie and the Newsman for Jim. Bert, Cookie Monster, and Sam the Eagle for Frank. And Pops and Crazy Harry for Jerry. Now, like the Sesame Street ones, I can see why maybe those aren't listed.
Right.
But those 7 characters all have a single line in Somebody's Getting Married.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was just like a decision was made that it's like, oh, a bunch of characters are in this one song. Who cares? Not important. But it is wild to me that there are 7 characters who like definitely get a featured moment in this movie and aren't listed among the characters that the performers play.
Right.
You know?
And when you consider that the rats are mostly credited or all credited.
The rats are all credited, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like they're like they all have a huge presence in the movie, so that is interesting.
Right. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, speaking of the rats, is the rats are listed like a proper name.
Masterson Rat, Chester Rat.
Yeah, it says Karen Prell as Yolanda Rat, both capitalized. But the frogs are like Kathy Mullen as Jill, parentheses, lowercase f, frog.
That's true.
So why is Rat their last name and Frog just like a parenthetical note after their proper name?
I don't know. I noticed
Like,
that too.
It's really straight. Like someone made that decision, you know?
Right. Because they could have listed them as like Bill the Frog, Gil the Frog, Jill the Frog. But then it seems like maybe they're related to Kermit, which they're not.
Yeah.
Possibly. I was surprised that they had the frog note after their names, because they all say their names quite a few times, and so it didn't feel necessary, but maybe because this was like the movie they got introed in, they wanted to make it clear who the characters were. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's especially weird, I think, on Dave Goelz' credit, because like Dave Goelz is credited as 4 characters in this movie, Gonzo and Zoot, but like Bunsen doesn't say anything. Beauregard doesn't say anything, so he's not credited for either of those, but he is credited for Chester Rat, proper name, Bill, parentheses, Frog, in the same credit. So, like, that seems especially odd to me. I don't know.
You're right, yeah. I'm glad you scrutinized these things.
Yeah, this is what I'm telling you. I had a lot of thoughts about this.
So now I wonder, on Muppet Wiki, is it like, I feel like Jill, the page for Jill on the wiki is just called Jill, right? They didn't.
Let's see.
They didn't bother to call it Jill parentheses Frog.
Right. Have we talked about how Jill is a recurring character on this season of Muppet Babies? By the way,
you know, I don't know if
we discussed that on the podcast
because it happened pretty recently, didn't it?
Yeah, but those episodes are on Disney Plus now, and my kids have been watching them, and she is like, there's a 2-part, like, you know, 2 stories in the same episode where she's like the main character in both of them.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And the first one is that like she wants to do everything by herself because she's slightly older than the babies and like thinks they're too immature. And then the second one is that she pretends her ankle is more hurt than it is, so the babies will do things for her.
Ooh. So does she
watched it this morning.
And not like she has a lot of character here, but does she seem like she could reasonably be interpreted as the same character as she is in this movie?
Yeah, I mean she's much more businesslike. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they're going for, is that she like wants to fill out this sticker sheet, and Piggy and Summer are like, I'm doing this one, and she's like, I can do the stickers by myself, babies.
Is it just Jill and the Muppet Babies, or are the other 2 male frogs there?
No sign of, like, it definitely feels like they wanted to add a new female character, didn't want,
and they chose Jill.
They chose Jill.
Of all of the, I mean, you know, I'm glad that they wanted to add another female character. I don't know if Jill would have been the first one to come to mind if I was asked, like, who should they add to the show? But, you know, I guess,
I literally,
power to them.
I walked in the room and I was like, is that Jill? And Iris is like, yeah, she's doing stickers. You know,
she's going to grow up and meet Bill and Gil.
That's true. Maybe she just hasn't met them yet.
Yeah.
Right, when she goes to work for the agency. Yeah, wow, that is unexpected and great. I mean, the Muppet Babies creators obviously are fans. Like, there have been so many unexpected obscure characters. I guess some of them have been obscure, showing up and like pictures on the wall of obscure characters. And
right. Well, they also did Sam the Eagle this season.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that Sam story is that like he just wants to read his book and doesn't really want to play. And the message is like, if a kid just wants to play, that like it wants to read, doesn't want to play, that's fine, leave him alone. Like that's the lesson of that story.
That sounds like, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really solid.
Yeah.
And Sam's like the perfect vehicle for this.
Yes.
You know? It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
What book is he trying to read?
Oh boy, I don't remember it.
Something about,
I'm sorry,
like proper decorum or Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, it's like something cultural. Yeah.
Or something patriotic. He's reading the Constitution.
Right. But they got him in his little sweater vest. Anyways, it's adorable.
Yeah. Anything else about the Muppet performer credits that we just saw before I move on?
I noticed Melissa Whitmire was credited as a puppeteer, which I don't think that I knew she did work with them.
Yeah, she'll actually we can get to her in a minute.
Okay.
I have things in the order in which they showed up on the screen here. The next thing is 6 cameo guest stars, and I noticed that 3 of them have last names starting with the letter C.
Oh yeah,
mildly interesting.
What are you going to do with that?
I have no idea. Then, for some reason, 3 more celebrities are listed as surprise cameos.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I wonder, like, and those 3 do have like much shorter appearances. You know, it's Brooke Shields, Eliza Minnelli, and Elliot Gould, who all like have. I mean, like the total number of words spoken by them is like less than 20, right? Like, I mean, Elliot Gould just says nah. You know?
Right.
Is it possible that, like, in doing the promotions for Muppets Take Manhattan back in the day, like they were like, "Come see this movie. It's got all these cameos," but then they didn't mention Liza Minnelli and Brooke Shields and the other cameo because they were a surprise. I don't know. That was like,
yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
maybe that's the only thing I could like figure why they would be surprise cameos and not just normal cameos.
Yeah, well, like with the Muppet movie, there's a version. Like, yeah, exactly. There's a version of the Muppet movie poster that has all the cameo celebrities on it.
Cameo guest stars on it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe for this one they pushed some of them, but not they kept the rest of them a surprise.
Right. Well, and then I guess you were going to talk about the with.
Yes, that's next.
Cameos
with
which are people that I think the audience is not expected to recognize, right? Like that's.
Well, I guess.
Cameos.
I guess most people in the audience.
Ryan, most people don't live in your town. People don't care about the mayor of your town. They don't live there.
I mean, New York City is New York. It's if they're going to recognize the mayor of any city, it's going to be Ed Koch, the mayor of New York City.
Right. Of course, I know.
But yeah, I guess. Well, so Frances Bergen, we talked about how the fact that she was Edgar Bergen's wife and Candice Bergen's mother. I actually didn't realize when we recorded that episode that she was also a model and an actor in her own right. So I guess there were probably some people in the audience who did recognize her or who knew her from her own career.
Right, sure. So apologies to Ms. Bergen.
Yes.
Bergen.
The other ones
we just talked about her, somebody's wife.
Right, and mother. And so the other ones are John Landis and Vincent Sardi. And I guess, I don't think people knew what Vincent Sardi looked like, and probably they didn't know what John Landis looked like. So,
right. And I think I said this back when she showed up, but I know that there's no reason why Cheryl McFadden or Gates McFadden would be listed among the cameos in this movie, but it still seems weird to me that she isn't a cameo. Because, like, it's Dr. Crusher, man.
Yeah, a few years later, she would have been.
Yeah.
So, yes, then we have the and Muppet performers. It is interesting that these are separated from the initial crop of Muppet performers. I think we've talked about all of these people in previous seasons. Anthony, does that sound right?
We talked about Glengo King before.
Oh, well, then that's yet another set of credits, which is additional.
Okay.
Yeah. Additional Muppet performers.
So what was the first one?
The first one,
Karen Prell and Kathy Mullen.
Yeah, the first one of all. Oh, and you know who we skipped over is featuring. Right after the Muppet performers is featuring, and it's the 3 human stars of the movie, Julianne and Donald, Lonnie Price and Louis Zorich. So don't want to forget them. I'm just double checking now to make sure I'm not getting anything wrong. Surprise cameos, and then and Muppet performers. So yes, that's when we have Catherine Mullen, Karen Prell, Brian Meal, Bruce Edward Hall, and then after that is additional Muppet performers.
Right. Okay. So I skipped ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know why they're credited all these different ways. I guess this is sort of the newer, younger crew of performers who are just kind of getting started.
Right. And we see our former guest Tim DeHaas listed there.
Yes, he is one of them. So we have James J. Krupa. He has worked on various.
Well, he's like the utility player on Bear in the Big Blue House.
Right.
He played a ton of the guest characters and right hands and all that stuff. He's the person in the closing credits of Bear in the Big Blue House who wasn't any of the main characters.
Right, but
that's what I always think of him as.
He's probably in every episode or most episodes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. He also worked on Little Muppet Monsters, Bear in the Big Blue House. Oh wait, you just said that.
I did.
What Wheels the World of Dr. Seuss, Muppets from Space, Letters to Santa, and various Sesame Street projects. He's also a puppet builder. He rebuilt Carol Spinney's character Picklepuss for the Jim Henson play-along video, Wow, You're a Cartoonist. Anthony, I think you and I watched that together many years ago. Is that true?
We did. Yes. Correct. It was, I'll tell you what, it's a trip. I don't know that I don't know that good is the word, but it's something.
It is fascinating to see a different Carol Spinney character. And Picklepuss is this cat who is carried around by a larger cat character named Pop. And they're both performed by Carol Spinney. So it's a pretty cool concept.
I have never heard of Picklepuss before.
Well, Picklepuss and Pop were Carol Spinney's characters like before he joined up with the Muppets. Like
he played him on like some local Bozo show, right?
He might, I think he probably did him on Bozo. Yeah.
Maybe they got mentioned in the documentary about him then, and I'm just blanking.
Maybe
yeah, I think they do. Yeah, but it's not. They're not exactly Big Bird and Oscar. So
no.
Yeah,
they're not even Bruno the Trash Man. Although they do use that same.
It's the same gimmick.
It's like that same Bruno carrying Oscar around.
Yeah. So Jim Krupa built that the new Picklepuss and Pop. He also rebuilt Thog for the 2011 movie The Muppets.
Ooh, cool.
Yes, and as the story goes, he did not have the specs, or nobody had the specs for the original Thog, so he ended up building him larger than the original, which is kind of crazy. And he also performed and built puppets for Eureka's Castle, which was a delightful Nick Jr. show back in the day.
Nice. I loved that show when I was a kid.
Because he's Batley, isn't he?
He is Batley, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and
we have a VHS tape of Wide Awake at Eureka's Castle, and my kids have seen that multiple times, and no other episode of that show ever. So.
You should go on eBay and find some other VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And if my sister and former podcast guest Erin is listening, she was a big Eureka's Castle fan, so I'm sure she'll be happy to hear us mention that. The next one is David Rudman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have not talked about this guy on this podcast yet because he has not been working for the Muppets on these previous movies, but here he is. And
now, so let me say first of all that I think David Rudman is super talented. He was very nice to me when I met him. And I love Don Quixote. My kids watch it all the time. Great show.
Oh yeah.
But he plays Baby Bear and many other characters who sound like Baby Bear. That's all. That's all there is to say about him.
Well, there is a certain, I mean,
he's Cookie Monster right now, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's true.
I think his Cookie Monster is pretty good.
Cookie Monster is amazing.
Anthony is overlooking the fact that David Rudman has played Cookie Monster for 20 years.
For 20 years, and he's incredible at it. Yeah,
he is. It's one of the best recasts for sure. Yes.
Yeah, I'm being unnecessarily flippant.
He's been with the Muppets since the early 80s. His other credits include Little Muppet Monsters, also Labyrinth, Tale of the Bunny Picnic, The Jim Henson Hour, The Ghost of Fafner Hall, Dinosaurs, and The Dog City TV show. And yes, he's played a ton of other characters on Sesame Street. He also took over one of the heads of the Two-Headed Monster. He's the head that was Richard Hunt, and he also took over Sully, the construction worker.
Oh, cool.
Who does not speak, so that was a pretty seamless recast. And, of course, he's been playing Janice and Scooter for the Muppets since 2008. And, as everyone knows, he was Bobot, the baby who is destined to one day rule the entire universe on the short-lived Henson sitcom Aliens in the Family. Everyone remembers Bobot's catchphrase, "I require pudding."
Your favorite show.
Yeah. So moving on. The next puppeteer credited is Melissa Whitmire. She is Steve Whitmire's wife and also his manager. As a puppeteer, her other credits on Muppet Wiki are Dream Child, The Muppets at Walt Disney World, and Kermit's Swamp Years. And she was Kathy Mullen's assistant on Kira and The Dark Crystal.
Oh, cool.
And Steve Whitmire has also mentioned in interviews that Melissa used to make clothes for Rizzo on The Muppet Show. So that's
wow.
Cool. Yeah.
I did not know that she did so much stuff like related to the Muppets. That's awesome.
Yeah, just think he would have been walking around naked in This
Very true.
The next is Michael Earl Davis. I believe we talked about him a little bit in The Great Muppet Caper. He was doing a lot of Sesame Street work around this time. He was the original performer of Forgetful Jones and the second performer of Mr. Snuffleupagus. Then next is Glengo King. I did not recognize this name at all. This seems to be his only Henson credit, so I don't know. I'd be curious to learn more about him.
So I did a little research.
Oh, good.
He has spent like several decades with a puppet troupe called the Brewery Puppet Troupe, an all-black group of puppeteers based in New York City.
Oh, cool.
Started by a guy named Brad Brewer. One of the things that they do is they do like a quartet of like a singing group called the Crotations, which are crows, and Glengo King plays one of them, a guy named Sweet Eddie. Okay. And also in 1999, they did a show at the Smithsonian about Lewis Latimer, the black Edison employee who actually invented the filament that made light bulbs affordable. Like we like to say that Thomas Edison invented light bulbs, but Lewis Latimer made light bulbs possible, like in every home.
Wow! And they did a puppet show about him.
Brewery Puppet Troupe, including Glengo King, did a puppet show about it at the Smithsonian in 1999.
That is very cool.
And that Lewis Latimer puppet is in the collection still.
Oh, nice.
At the American History Museum. Yeah,
that's really cool. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I mean, it does mention his that puppet troupe on Muppet Wiki, but like there's really not much else there about him. So I'm glad you did the extra research. Next is Tim DeHaas. He was a guest on this podcast, so you can listen to his episode to hear about his experiences on this film. Next is Cheryl Bartholo, another name I didn't recognize. She also doesn't seem to have any other Henson credits. Anthony, did you find anything else?
No, I looked. There's some website called Argyle Design that has like a museum director named Cheryl Bartholo who talks about like doing children's museum work, and I cannot determine that this is the same person.
Okay.
But that was the only Cheryl Bartholo I could find out there.
We should try to track these people down and see if they want to talk about working on this movie.
Right. I'm sure they all have stories about it.
Yeah. The Muppet Wiki article for her did note that in the early 70s, she published a newsletter called The Puppet Post, which only lasted 2 issues. So, too bad about that.
Yeah.
Then the final credit here for additional Muppet performers, he gets the "and," which is usually like a special thing or kind of an honorary thing to be the "and." It's "and Martin P. Robinson."
Well, that makes sense though, because he's already Snuffy and Telly when this movie comes out.
In 84, he's both of them. I guess that's right. Or is that?
I feel like that's around the time he took over Telly, but he's definitely Snuffy, right? Didn't he take over Snuffy in like 1980?
We probably should have looked this up before.
Yeah.
But
I like how we're all just like, wait, we know him. So it says 1981 is when he started on Sesame Street. Yeah. Muppet Wiki says that.
Okay.
And he took over Snuffy that same year.
Oh, really? So Michael Earl Davis is working on this movie after having lost his gig as Snuffy.
Let's see. Martin P. Robinson, Telly, 1984 through present. So he was probably just about to take over.
Okay. So yeah, I guess he was kind of up and coming in the company. So that was worthy of an "and" credit. So he's also played many, many, many other characters on Sesame Street, including Slimy and Buster the Horse, and Oscar's niece, Irvine. I'm not sure I knew that until I looked him up on the wiki.
And Old MacDonald, because I love his Old MacDonald voice. I think it's one of the funniest Sesame Street character voices.
Yeah, I love that they established a regular performer to play Old MacDonald when he shows up on Sesame Street.
Yeah, well, and we should say, like, he's been on that show now for 40 years. Like, he's one of the longest running puppeteers on the show. Certainly the longest running active puppeteer now.
Right. Yeah.
on
And
the
just
show.
and
Like,
right. And a constant
many
presence. Yeah. A constant
Yeah.
presence on it.
Yeah.
Like he's always been around for all of those years. So, yeah, he was also on the Webulous World of Dr. Seuss, the Dog City TV show. He worked on Letters to Santa also. Another non-Muppet thing he did that was very cool. He designed, built, and performed Audrey 2 for the original production of Little Shop of Horrors and the 2003 Broadway revival.
I am so well aware. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's yeah. I saw the 2003 when it toured the country, so I guess I saw that cool puppet that he built too. So
it's awesome. Didn't he also have a human cameo in this movie, like in the crowd scene at the very beginning? Wasn't it him and Steve?
Yeah, I think he has one of the
I think they're in the crowd when they're first performing their show when they're still in college. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right. Yes, I'm trying to think. There's a Muppet is there a Muppet segment? No, is a performer cameos page on the wiki?
There is, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to look for it right now too.
Okay.
Martin P. Robinson cameos. He has his own page.
Okay.
Nice.
Muppets Take Manhattan. He's in the audience at Manhattan Melodies with Steve Whitmire. Yep.
All right.
Not at college.
Yes.
No. Yeah, at Manhattan Melodies.
Well, they're both Manhattan Melodies.
Right. What did I say? Yeah, college. It's called Manhattan Melodies. They say that,
don't they?
I guess so.
Isn't that what it says on the sign? I don't know. That's another thing that we should know. After all this time, I'm Ryan. We've been talking about this movie for so long. So long. Well, the next thing is just the crew credits. We don't need to talk about everyone else who's credited here. It is interesting.
I have a couple of things, if that's okay.
Yes, it is. I was just going to say it's interesting to kind of glance at some of these people's filmographies and see what else they've worked on.
Right.
So,
well, one thing that I think explains something we've been wondering about through this entire movie is the casting is by Howard Fear and Jeremy Ritzler. So I was looking up their credit, and they worked on Broadway together as a casting team for years and years.
Huh.
Like they cast the original production of Noises Off, 42nd Street, Oh Calcutta, a bunch of stuff. But that might explain why there are so many of the small parts in this movie are people who primarily worked on stage.
Yes.
So many of the minor characters we've said they only had a couple of screen credits. The fact that those guys cast this movie could very easily explain that. You know,
cool.
It's like, they know this guy from whatever production.
Right. Yeah, they were just New York stage people, which actually is really fitting for this movie. So that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to mention costume design is by Karen Roston, Callista Hendrickson, and Polly Smith. I'm going to assume that Karen Roston mostly did the human costumes because the other two are people that we know have worked with the Muppets for many years.
Right.
She doesn't have a lot of other credits on IMDb either, but she did work on 107 episodes of Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
And a handful of comedy specials. And 2 episodes of the sitcom Hi, Honey, I'm Home. Did either of you ever see that?
No.
Yeah,
can't say I have.
That's the thing with they're like an old sitcom family that gets relocated to the old sitcom retirement community, right?
Well, and they're transported to modern reality of the 90s.
Right, but then Gail Gordon and Barbara Eden and all those people show up as themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I misremembered it as being
Yeah, no, it was full of guest stars that people who were watching Nickelodeon or Nick at Night at the time would have loved. But yes, I was very excited about that show at the time. I was a kid, but I was watching a lot of Nick at Night, so I was very into that. And Karen Roston made the costumes for those 2 episodes. We have talked about Callista Hendrickson before, and then Polly Smith. This is one of her earlier credits, I guess, but I know we're going to see her name pop up in future movies as well. And I think she's still doing some work for the Henson Company. So I noticed choreographer Chris Chadman, who once again has very few IMDb credits, but one of them is A Special Sesame Street Christmas.
So Chris Chadman was Bob Fosse's assistant on Chicago and Pippin.
Oh.
And then became a Broadway choreographer in his own right. He was Tony nominated for the 1992 revival of Guys and Dolls for the choreography. And he also starred in a revival of Pal Joey in the early 80s.
Whoa.
In the Frank Sinatra role. So he actually, sadly, he died of AIDS-related complications in 1995. But had like a very interesting career before that. So it's kind of cool that career included choreographing Muppets Take Manhattan.
Well, yeah, and a special Sesame Street Christmas, which is the weird
Sesame Street Christmas, yeah.
the weird special from the late 70s where the only Muppets in it are Big Bird, Oscar, and Barkley. And Ethel Merman tells Imogen Coca that she looks like an idiot. And Michael Jackson shows up to give Oscar a book about ghosts. And it's just a very strange special.
And does not sing. And we should be clear.
Right.
Michael Jackson does not sing a note.
Right.
Yeah.
In that special.
Right. But there's really not much choreography in it that I can recall. Like when Ethel Merman shows up, she sings Tomorrow from Annie, but she just does it like standing there singing to the human characters.
Yeah, which also was a new song. Like Annie's only a year old in 1978. It's not a movie yet.
That's so interesting to think, sometimes about songs that we assume have just kind of always been around. But yeah.
Right. Well, and that's like on the Muppet Show when they did those two songs from Chicago in the first season. Chicago's only like a year old. They did Razzle Dazzle and Mr. Cellophane in the first season. And Chicago came out in 75.
Yeah, they weren't Broadway
I never thought
classics.
of that. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that always gets me about that, the song New York, New York, that's from, when did that come out?
77. So that's from the Martin Scorsese movie. That was written for that movie. By Kander and Ebb.
Right. Doesn't it seem like it would be from the 1940s or 50s?
Well, but that musical takes place in the 40s.
I guess that's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Sinatra covered it almost immediately. Like his version comes out in 1980.
Yeah, and
so I think it feels like a song Sinatra's been singing for 40 years, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fact that Sinatra did it makes it seem like, it's that song that Sinatra did back in 1950 something. But
right,
no, it's not. It's the song that Sinatra did in 1980 something. But yeah. So another the one that we see at the end of this clip is Muppet Design and Construction. There are several names here. We don't need to read all of them. We can just say that all of these people are geniuses at what they do. I will single out Carolee Wilcox, who's the first name listed here. She just died this past year, but she was a very valuable part of the Muppet Workshop for a long time. She was also an occasional performer, and based on what we saw on a live video stream event from the Museum of the Moving Image a year or two ago, she seemed like a really sweet person too. So just shout out to Carolee Wilcox. And yes, the clip ends in the middle of that credit. Any other specific notes on any other specific credits?
The music for the credits was just starting to go into saying goodbye when the clip cut off, and I got very excited because I was like, "Oh, I love this song!" And then it ended before any actual words started.
Now, when you say you love the song, it's a very sad song.
I do. It's sad, but it's a very sweet song. It's for me. It's the song from this movie that I think sticks with me the most. Well, the one where they're all babies is also like a jam.
Yeah.
But I think Saying Goodbye is the one that comes to mind the most when I think of this film.
Nice. I feel like that's not the most obvious choice, but I like that. Any other thoughts on the clip or the credits or anything, Anthony?
I don't.
So, Julia, as you know, we like to ask our guests, do you remember the first time you saw this movie? What is your history with it? How would you rank it alongside the other Muppet movies, etc.?
Oof, I forgot that y'all asked this question.
We probably should have reminded you up at the top.
It's
so
okay.
If you want to think about it.
Keeps me on my toes. The first time I watched it, it's funny because I grew up with the Muppet movie and Great Muppet Caper, and then obviously I was the right age of when Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island came out for consumption. But I don't think I saw Muppets Take Manhattan as a kid. For whatever reason, that wasn't one of the ones we owned. I think I didn't see it till college, quite honestly. I think it was on Netflix, and it was around the time when I was really starting to get into Muppets, and I had never seen this one, and it was one of the few that was available for free, and so I watched it several times.
That's exciting for this to be one of the ones that, like, right when you're getting into the Muppets.
Yeah, well, especially, like, because I think I had seen all the other Muppet movies like at least once at that point, and so it was cool to discover one that I just had never seen before. So that's where I was at, I believe, when I first saw it. And I remember thinking, like, finding out that there was the sequence with all the baby Muppets in it, and I was like, oh, it's like the Muppet Babies, which I did watch as a child. So,
Sure.
yeah. What's the other questions? How it ranks up against the other Muppet films?
Yeah.
Yes. It's probably in my top 5. It doesn't, for me, quite hold up to the Muppet Movie and Great Muppet Caper, probably because I did grow up with them as kids. But I probably would put it. It's still Great Muppet Caper and the Muppet Movie for me. And then controversially, I really love the 2011 Muppets. Then probably Christmas Carol, and then this, I would say, is my order off the top of my head.
All right.
So it makes my top 5.
Yeah, that's awesome. A decent top 5.
Yeah.
So, all right, then if that's everything we have, then we can wrap things up for this week. Everyone, please make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else. Our logo is by Morgan Davy. Our theme music is by Stacey Rosen. Hey, we're also on Patreon. If you like what you hear here on the podcast, if you like what you see on the website and the social media thingies, you can support us at patreon.com/toughpigs. You can also email us at movingrightalong@toughpigs.com. Maybe you have some thoughts or something you want us to look out for when we watch Muppet Christmas Carol next season. You can find me on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. I'm on Letterboxd if you want to see what I have to say about movies. I am Movies Are Neat. Anthony is on Letterboxd at Zeppo Marxist. And Julia, where can people find you and your work on the internet and so on?
My handles for like Twitter and Instagram are at GeekGirlGrownUp, and then I write for Tough Pigs occasionally, and then I've got some poetry out in the world. If you just Google Julia Gaskill and poetry, you'll probably find it pretty easily. There's some Muppet poems out there.
Oh yeah,
not hard to find.
Good stuff. Yes, everyone look that up. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And listeners, thank you also for joining us. And if you don't mind, please give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can do that. Please tell your friends about the show and join us again next week, because we have one more episode left in this season. Next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. They got married.
See you next week for more credits.